Welcome to this special edition of Cronkite News. I'm Monica Sampson. Thanks for joining us. Cronkite News is dedicated to covering public policy in our state. Tonight, a look back at some of the top stories from our reporters covering government affairs, the courts, and law enforcement.
The Arizona Department of Transportation is cracking down on identity theft with facial recognition software. I went down to the motor vehicle department to find out how it works. Arizona Department of Transportation began using a facial recognition technology in 2015 to protect Arizonans from identity theft. It's a process that begins when a person goes to register or renew a driver's license.
Once you get your photo taken, that photo is then run through the database and it's matched up against all the other photos in the database, which there's like 18 or 19 million. And it will try to find similar matches.
If the system finds a similar match, the MVD will put a temporary hold on the ID before it prints a permanent license, and an investigation will begin. There have been over 100 identity theft cases brought to court by ADOT using this facial recognition technology, the most recent being an 89-year-old using his deceased brother's identity to cash Social Security checks.
He had an ID in his name and an ID in his brother's name, and so it came up that these photos look very similar, so we did our review, we looked them over. Our detectives have FBI training in facial rec, and they determined, yeah, that's the same guy. And
since this is a fairly new technology, ASU professor Charles Loftus says there are some improvements that can be made to make this more effective.
It's a new system. I foresee agreements between states to be able to use different states' databases.
ADOT hopes this technology will prevent people from becoming victims of identity theft.
We want to deter those identity thieves. Don't try it because our system is going to catch you.
Although Harding says that they do their best to inform residents of the facial recognition technology, Professor Loftus has concerns about the privacy of these photos and says there could be legal issues concerning how long the photos are kept.
A warning tonight to parents about a popular music app. Sydney Eisenberg shows us how a stranger was able to contact a Valley teen through Musical.ly and ask for her personal information.
Tommy wants you to talk to him.
Ashley is like any other 11-year-old girl. She loves her dogs and talking with her friends on social media.
Well, that's why I like it, because all my friends are on it.
Her favorite app is Musical.ly. Musical.ly allows users to lip sync to popular songs of today.
And this is like people you follow. Yeah.
However, around April of this year, the tune quickly changed when Ashley was messaged by a stranger through the app.
The message wasn't specific. He didn't say nude pictures or anything, but she immediately felt like that was inappropriate. And she came to me about it and said some person contacted her asking for pictures, and she said that it was inappropriate and she didn't feel comfortable sending any pictures to this person. She didn't know who he was.
Police say that criminals are able to contact their victims either through the computer or through their phone if it is connected to the internet.
Any app or website has a potential to be dangerous for our children, whether it be the content that they're viewing or the ability for others to contact their children via that app or website.
Ashley and her mom did block the stranger and update Ashley's privacy settings, but parents can still do more to monitor their children.
What I tell parents to do is there's three things that are extremely important. I think that the parents should communicate with their children, they should monitor their activity, and they need to continuously educate themselves about the newest trends.
We, did the right thing by blocking this person, deleting it, and again, I think at that time, maybe our settings weren't at the right where they needed to be, where strangers could still contact her and send her messages. So now we've gone in there and make sure that only people she knows can message her.
Even if you have your settings correct, Ashley says there is still one thing you can do to protect yourself.
Just ignore it, I guess. If you didn't know how to do all the other stuff, you could just ignore it and don't answer, because then they can't do anything.
In Phoenix, Sydney Eisenberg, Cronkite News.
People who like to target shoot may soon have new areas open up to their sport. Cronkite News reporter Holly Bernstein went down to Tucson to see what this means for public lands.
The Department of the Interior issued an order to expand access for hunting, fishing, and recreational shooting on public land by January 13, 2018.
Thomas Wacker has been a shooter for decades. I grew up in southwest Nebraska where people hunt on all their days off. I mean, that's the thing we do.
He's out at the Coronado National Forest, target shooting in preparation for a deer hunt. It's allowed there, but rules are different depending on what type of land you're on.
The national park is extremely restrictive in terms of uses, whereas the forest bills itself as the land of many uses.
But the new order from Interior Secretary Ryan Zink would expand the areas where recreational shooting is allowed and asks agencies to evaluate their own areas.
It may not be appropriate in all cases, and the agencies will have to make that determination on their own, but he wanted it opened up for the largest range of public uses.
Hart emphasizes safety when it comes to recreational shooting.
Safety first, eye protection, ear protection, making sure that other standers-by are behind the muzzle, and clearly the intent to police up whatever they've brought out here to use as targets.
But Tom Hannigan, the president of Friends of Ironwood Forest, a nonprofit organization that works to protect the monument, says recreational shooting can get in the way of other uses of public land.
There's probably a list of 20 things I could go through that are uses of the monument, and they're all somewhat in danger if target shooting is taking place.
According to Hannigan, recreational shooters have used plants on the monument as targets and have left behind various personal targets as well.
I've been on work details where we've had to clean up after recreational shooters and found everything from glasses and bottles to TV sets and one refrigerator.
Wacker says he is for recreational shooting on public land, but says people should be responsible.
I think people should be held accountable for leaving their trash here, which they should not do, but they do anyway.
Cronkite News reached out to the Bureau of Land Management for comment, but they say it is too early to discuss the secretarial order. Holly Bernstein, Cronkite News.
Following protests that broke out after President Trump's rally in Phoenix, Arizona lawmakers are looking for ways to make protests and public demonstrations safer. Cronkite News reporter Bridget Dowd is in the broadcast center with details on what could be a new bill.
Some of those protesters were wearing masks, which made it difficult for police to identify those suspected of assaulting officers. One Arizona representative says when people are able to hide their faces, they're more likely to commit acts of violence, and he hopes to change that.
This footage shows just a glimpse of the chaotic scene in downtown Phoenix following President Trump's speech. Republican Representative Jay Lawrence says some of the more violent protesters hid their faces with masks. He plans to introduce a bill that would prohibit the use of masks and hoods at future protests.
People say, if I'm unmasked, my boss will know who I am. If you are that ashamed of that for which you are demonstrating, you shouldn't be doing it. Stay home.
While Arizona does not yet have a law like this, other states like Alabama and West Virginia have already adopted similar laws.
Representative Lawrence says in addition to making it a felony for someone to wear a hood or a mask at a protest, he hopes enhanced charges will come to those who commit crimes while wearing a mask.
And Lawrence isn't the only one who thinks unmasking those people could make public demonstrations safer. Don Steinmetz is a former Phoenix police sergeant.
When you see people with masks and stuff like that, as a police officer, you think of a bank robber or somebody like that generally, so you know that they're concealing it for some kind of bad deed.
However, some people are concerned that this ban would violate their constitutional rights, like Phoenix resident Tanya Mendez, who participated in the protest a few weeks ago.
However people want to dress to a protest, they have the freedom to dress however they want. You know, if people are comfortable with open carry laws in the state of Arizona, why would somebody feel uncomfortable with a mask or being able to remain anonymous?
We asked ASU law professor Joseph Rusamano if a law like this would be constitutional. He says if it infringes on the ability to express an idea, it could violate the First Amendment. However, government interest in public safety could outweigh an individual's right to free speech.
Lawrence has sent his suggestion to House attorneys who are in the process of writing the legislation. He says he'll introduce the bill as his first order of business in January. In the broadcast center, Bridget Dowd, Cronkite News.
Involvement in politics and your community, especially with the younger generation, is topping the agenda tonight. Former President Barack Obama announced his foundation will host a summit next month aimed at promoting civic engagement among students and young adults. As Emily Richardson found out, Arizona State University University students on the Tempe campus are already motivated to take action.
So I really fell in love with how the UN has portrayed politics and how it has facilitated what we want and how it has, like, basically you can see the results that you want to see change in the world through the work of the UN.
About a dozen students at Arizona State University's main campus spent their lunch hour sending letters to their congressional delegation. ASU's UN Association's president, Layla Jamal, says some of the group's concerns are DACA and the UN budget cuts.
So we're asking our members and the people that are coming in, are you interested in DACA and helping us change the Congress, since now it's up to the Congress, change the vote in Congress, and basically by targeting Republicans and people on the Republican side to help us say that we want our dreamers to stay.
Since the election, a poll done by the Institute of Politics at Harvard University found 25% of 18 to 29-year-olds say they're more motivated to get involved. That translates to about 14 million young people. And Obama wants to tap into that to find solutions to societal problems.
This leadership summit will be a place to gather and learn from one another, and then go back to your communities to lead others in the hard work of change. In the weeks and months ahead, we'll be kicking off more initiatives and opportunities for people like you to get involved with the Obama Foundation's mission. That mission is simple. We want to inspire and empower people to change the world.
47% of those polled by Harvard University's Institute on Politics believe that what's happening in Washington is relevant to their lives. That number is up 7% from 5 years ago. And those writers at the union agree. Roa El-Farana says she joined ASU's UN group because she was passionate about the UN's work.
About the UN and about refugee work, so I was like, that sounds really cool, that's what I'm really interested in, it really lies personally to me, so I would be more than happy to join.
The group is hoping their efforts at civic engagement have an impact across the country. In Tempe, Emily Richardson, Cronkite News.
Tomorrow, the Obama Foundation is expected to announce its plans for the Obama Presidential Center in Chicago.
I'm Judy Woodruff, anchor and managing editor of the PBS NewsHour. The journalists of tomorrow face a fast-changing media landscape, but quality news remains vitally important to our communities, our country, and our world. At ASU's Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communication, students learn solid, reliable reporting, holding the powerful accountable, and rebuilding the public's trust. The Cronkite School and Arizona PBS, preparing the next generation for a stronger future of journalism.
Protesters disrupted the Senate Finance Hearing Committee on the Graham-Cassidy healthcare bill today. The hearing had to be stopped and protesters, some in wheelchairs, were removed by police. This as the Congressional Budget Office released new data saying millions will be left without insurance. Now here in the Valley, the bill has also met opposition, as Drew Marine reports.
Senator John McCain came out against the Graham-Cassidy bill on Friday, while protests were going on outside of his office. After the news, those had heart-to-heart conversations sharing their fear over what's to come.
Originally, protesters came out to plead to Senator McCain to help. While outside McCain's Phoenix office, word came that he would vote no. But Senator Flake also came out on Friday supporting it.
Two senators, including Senator McCain, have announced opposition to it. I just wanted to say that I'm still in favor of it. I hope that we can get it across the finish line.
But as the day went on, it became less about protesting and more about sharing how the Graham-Cassidy bill would impact their daily lives.
I got a letter of medical necessity stating that I literally cannot use the other catheters. My insurance refuses to give me the catheters until I can get 2 UTIs. So I have to get 2 UTIs with the other catheters before they'll actually cover the ones that work for me, and then I can use, because I'm a quadriplegic, so I have limited hand function. I'm paying $1,000 a month just to pee.
I rely heavily on Medicaid for services like caregiving hours and stuff like that, and if the state was to switch to block grants for funding, eventually there'll be cuts to my services, which would make more burden on my parents who work full-time to be able to take care of me and eventually overwhelm them to make me have to resort to living in a nursing home because I don't have any other option.
Protesters stressed that the bill can impact everyone.
I think everyone needs to understand that you can be walking across the street and be hit by a car and have the reality of needing medical care. You know, it's not, oh, I'm healthy and young. Like, I was 18 and I broke my neck. I was an athlete. I had everything going for me. You know, it can happen to anyone.
The bill's authors have made changes to the legislation, but it may be moot. McCain and Senator Rand Paul have said they will vote no. And less than 2 hours ago, Senator Susan Collins says she will also vote no, which could kill the bill. Drew Marine, Cronkite News.
A historic meeting is happening at the state capitol. States are working on rules to convene a constitutional convention to force Congress to adopt a balanced budget amendment. Cronkite News reporter Holly Bernstein is live at the state capitol. Holly, what are the chances of the states forging a change to the U.S. Constitution?
There hasn't been an Article 5 Amendments Convention since the adoption of the Constitution. Now, one Arizona delegate is saying that they are only 7 states away. For the first time since before the Civil War, states are trying to force Congress's hand. Delegates from across the country gathered at our state capitol to determine the rules for trying to change the U.S. Constitution to require a balanced budget.
I think there are about 4 or 5 of them that all have to do with once you reach the number of 34 Article 5 applications, how quickly and smoothly could the states move to organizing and putting on such a convention.
Only 7 more states are needed to initiate an Article 5 convention of states, but the process to get them on board could happen within the next 2 years.
The Balanced Budget Amendment organization is working those states. A lot of grassroots movement going on in those states.
According to Daniels, while there's been no discussion at the convention of actual budget amendment language, Allen says such an amendment would tell Congress that they must balance their budget.
I just said to Senator Smith, I said, isn't it going to be an interesting process to see how all the delegates come together and try to figure out how to write an amendment for the Constitution?
Work is still being done, but everything is expected to be finalized within the next couple of days. Live at the Arizona State Capitol, Holly Bernstein, Cronkite News.
Today is National Voter Registration Day. Here in the Valley, reporter Sydney Eisenberg shows us how lawmakers came out to push a specific group of voters into participating in elections.
You guys registered to vote?
Arizona State University students were able to participate in National Voter Registration Day by registering to vote or updating their voter registration in between classes.
It was in the back of my head to do this since like the beginning of the semester. But yes, today proved to be a very convenient and opportune time to do this and also to celebrate what today is meant to celebrate.
The Secretary of State's office, along with the City of Tempe and the Maricopa County Recorder's Office, were on hand to help with the paperwork.
Arizona Secretary of State Michelle Reagan says that while it's important for young people to fill out a voter registration form, that doesn't always mean that they will actually go and vote in the polls.
It is so important for people in that 18 to 25-year-old bracket. It's one of the worst performing age brackets when it comes to voter participation, and you're the ones that stand to lose the most.
Phoenix Mayor Greg Stanton took the opportunity today to post a video on Twitter, encouraging people to register and sharing his hope that the state would pass an automatic voter registration law. But Reagan doesn't believe that will give people to the polls.
But just because you automatically register people, if they're not interested in voting, does it or does it not translate to more people showing up at the polls? And I think that's the important number that election officials all over the country are looking at. Does automatic voter registration do that, or do you end up wasting a lot of money sending information to people who never have any intention of voting?
In Tempe, Sydney Eisenberg, Cronkite News.
If you did not register to vote in person today, you can still go online and register.
A World War II veteran who survived the attack on the USS Indianapolis was honored in Florence. As Emily Richardson reports, a federal building now bears his name.
Today we gather to recognize Mr. Harpo Celaya and his heroism by dedicating the Florence Post Office to him.
On Saturday, people gathered outside of the Florence U.S. Post Office to witness the building's dedication to Harpo Celaya. Celaya joined the Navy when he was a teenager because flyers made it seem fun.
At that time in Tucson, they had pictures outside join the Navy and see the world, and they had girls where they would show a girl in every port and stuff like that, which I never got to see anyways.
When he was 17, he was on board the USS Indianapolis when it was torpedoed by a Japanese submarine. He was one of the 317 survivors.
A lot of the sailors were burning up and stuff like that, so I just went to the back.
Celaya and the other survivors were in the water for 4.5 days before they were rescued. When Celaya returned to the U.S., he re-enrolled in school and played on the Florence High School's basketball team.
I think it helped me a lot to come back to school because in those days they called it that it was PSD or whatever you had, but it helped me out quite a bit.
Congressman Paul Gosar had to get a bill passed by Congress to name the Florence Post Office after him.
Harpo Celaya is a true hero, beloved by his hometown right here in Florence.
That it was an honor for us to be able to honor Mr. Celaya in this way.
Celaya is happy to be recognized by his hometown and even happier that his family made the event.
It's something that I'll probably take with me for the rest of my life.
In Florence, Emily Richardson, Cronkite News.
While members of the U.S. Armed Forces may earn high-ranking positions in the military, it's not always easy for them to get a job when they leave the service. Cronkite News reporter Bridget Dowd tells us what Arizona veterans are doing to change that.
We hold ourselves to the highest standards, and we're going to hold our employees here today to the highest standards.
Push-ups, marches, and calculated movements are just a few activities that U.S. soldiers experience on a daily basis. But these aren't soldiers. These are just everyday citizens getting a glimpse of a day in the life of our men and women in uniform. Wanda Wright is the director of the Arizona Department of Veterans Services. She says even as a senior executive in the military, she had trouble finding work after her service.
It is really, I think, important for employers to really understand what those military minds were like, and that now that they're veterans, to have a little empathy and compassion when they're sitting in front of them.
It's called Military Immersion Training, and it introduces participants to drill and ceremony, or D&C. First Sergeant Chris Llewellyn says veterans learn discipline and other skills that are transferable in the workforce, and he hopes to get that message across to others.
So we're trying to show them a little bit of rank structure, how to do marching movements, facing movements, how to march and sing cadence at the same time, which gets a little bit complicated. We are looking to instill that pride in them, and their pride in themselves and pride in the country, and to see and hold them to the standard that we hold here in the Arizona National Guard in the highest tradition.
Representatives from more than 60 companies were at the training. In Phoenix, Bridget Dowd, Cronkite News.
The Arizona Coalition for Military Families hosts several of these immersion trainings in hopes of bridging the gap between the military and civilian community.
Today is National Coffee with a Cop Day, where civilians can meet their local law enforcement in a comfortable environment to discuss issues they may have. Reporter Emily Richardson attended this event in Mesa.
This was a great event. It was really fun to be a part of it.
This morning across the country, citizens were invited to participate in National Coffee with a Cop Day. Locally, Mesa Police Department held 3 events. According to Mesa PD's chief, his department has been holding this event for years now, and his favorite part is learning about his community.
The most important part of Coffee with a Cop is getting to know people and just having that one-on-one exchange. Nothing replaces face-to-face communication.
Coffee with a Cop was started in California and has since been held in all 50 states plus multiple other countries. Coffee with a Cop's mission is to break down the barriers between the police officers and the civilians they serve. Christine Alton Esteban, a Mesa resident in attendance, agrees that it opens lines of communication.
This is a really great way for the community and the law enforcement officers, the police department, to come together to get to know each other on a different level, so that line that seems to be defining you know us versus them, it kind of goes away and we become more community, which is what we really are.
2-year-old Max Bradley says that he liked meeting the cops and that he gives this event a thumbs up. In Mesa, Emily Richardson, Cronkite News.
As many Arizonans plan for the holidays with their families, not everyone will get to spend time with those they love.
Cronkite News reporter Bridget Dowd traveled to Fort Huachuca, the U.S. Army Intelligence Center, to find out how soldiers will be spending their Thanksgiving.
For many of the soldiers here at Fort Huachuca, this is their first Thanksgiving that they're spending away from their families, and the Adopt a Soldier program gives them a chance to have some home-cooked hospitality.
Soldiers here are trained in military intelligence and maintain rigorous daily schedules. As many Americans will travel to reunite with relatives this month, troops don't always have that luxury.
Because we have such a high training population here, a majority of our soldiers won't be able to go home for Thanksgiving. They're saving up their leave and their money and their time to go home at Christmas shortly afterwards, but Thanksgiving is a little bit tough.
Instead, soldiers at the Army base will be matched with community members through the Adopt a Soldier program and will eat Thanksgiving dinner in the comfort of a home.
Cochise County here in southern Arizona has one of the highest veterans populations in the nation. And so our community wants to maintain that connection with our service members.
Linton says they often have more families who want to take someone in than they have soldiers. The program also gives them a break from the dining hall food they eat every day. It also matches soldiers to families with similar dietary preferences.
We have soldiers who are vegetarian or vegan. We've had families that have come forth and said, hey, we celebrate a vegetarian Thanksgiving. We invite those soldiers into our homes.
With full stomachs and a little love from their adopted families, the soldiers will return to the base to continue their training. In Sierra Vista, Bridget Dowd, Cronkite News.
Now the deadline for families to apply to adopt a soldier is November 17th.
Thanks for joining us for this special edition of Cronkite News. For more multimedia coverage, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org and click on the Government and Justice tabs.